the words of Atlanta legend, rapper T.I., what's up? What's happening? This is Matty NASCAR for the Chase for Checker show. And this week, we're going to talk about Echo Park, a.k.a. Atlanta, a.k.a. ATL, a.k.a. the most exciting track on the schedule right now. We're back for the second time this year. I believe this is the first track we are returning to. Let me look at the schedule real quick. Yes. Our first repeat track on the schedule. I'm not going to go over review because I'm going to for two reasons. One, I don't remember, but we did have some success last week. We didn't get a winner. I know that much, but we did have, I think, like a couple top 10s. Or maybe one top 10 in both of our matchups. Something like that. I don't know. You can find it on my Twitter, and you can go back and look if you want to see what happened. I don't know. We're going to talk about Atlanta. The other reason, though, why I'm not doing this is because I just don't want to waste time. I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter. But we're going to talk about Atlanta. I'm excited about Atlanta. I know Jeff Gluck wants to whine and moan about Sunday night races. Shut up. I don't care. I love a night race, and dude, your job is to literally write about NASCAR, and you're complaining, I got to get up in the morning to go to an actual job. Not that you're not an actual job. I'm sorry, Mr. Gluck. Let me apologize. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, like, it doesn't have anything to do with NASCAR. So, I don't know. I understand it. I do. But also, I don't know, quit being a baby about it. If you like it. I actually agreed with Jordan, which is very, very few and far between that I do agree with Mr. Jordan Bianchi. But other sports, other major sports have Sunday night events all the time that we stay up for. Super Bowl, we stay up on a Sunday night. A lot of us go to work the next day. Whatever. Anyways, I'm not going to go on that tangent. I said I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. Also, I just want to note, I did just do some yard work. It's super hot in this part of Indiana right now, so I've got the chest out a little bit, okay? So if your wife, your girlfriend, significant other, however way you swing, goes by and takes a look at this, sorry, you were warned. Just kidding. Anyways, let's jump into some top 10s. I'm excited about these top 10s at tracks like this where it is a super speedway, a drafting type track. Top 10s are always fun. Honestly, they're almost more fun for me than a winner because the winners, yes, this is the type of track you can get some long shot winners for sure. And we will talk about that a little bit. But I like doing the long shot top 10s a little bit more just because you can get a couple of them. Usually, you will have 1 to 2 that will hit. In fact, in this race this past year, so earlier in the season, we had a Zane Smith who had a top 10. We had a Daniel Suarez, a Ross Chastain. We had a Ryan Preece, Shane Van Gisbergen. And that would have been a huge top 10 number. So, yeah, about 3 of them, especially at the beginning of the year. You know, you think of that, what that number would be. Pretty crazy. So, I like the top 10s. That's what we're going to start with. Starting with a couple guys that I actually just mentioned. We're going to start with the number 1 car. That is Ross Chastain at plus 135 on FanDuel. And I am going to go ahead and say, when I finished writing this last night, I went to go make those bets, and the numbers had actually already changed. So I didn't even get into this number. I think it has already changed. But I'm just kind of reading off of the article that I released early. Little plug. If you want to get any of these early and maybe not miss out on a number before it changes, make sure you find me on Substack, Matty NASCAR. But Ross Chastain at plus 135 on FanDuel. Chastain has not been good this year by any means. That's no secret. But what's good is his success here at Atlanta and at just these super speedway tracks where it is less about speed and driver rating and all that stuff. You won't hear me talk a lot about that today. It's going to be more about finishes. Who's there at the end, who stays out of trouble, who manages to find their way towards the front at the end. He's got an average finish this year at tracks like this. So Daytona, Atlanta, and Dega, the 3 that we have been to. You're going to hear me bring those up as well a lot. He's tied for 6th in those 3 races with a 10.0 average finish. Since 2022 Atlanta. He's got an average finish of 12.9, tied for 5th overall. So no doubt this is a good place to try and get a much needed good run for that one car. And I definitely think they can do it. I don't know, maybe running around at the back because they don't have the speed will help them in the end if we have a lot of chaos, which we seem to do at these tracks. Another guy, though, former teammate of Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez at plus 135 on DraftKings. Suarez should be on everyone's radar when we come to Atlanta. He was a huge long shot win a couple years ago now with that famous, now historic finish of him, Ryan Blaney, and the late Kyle Busch. Finishing the closest 3 wide finish ever. The race was electric. I was really close to having Daniel Suarez. Actually, I think I did take him. I don't know if I had him top 10 and winner. I don't know. Anyways, but that was a huge win. Great race. It was so exciting. So he should be on everybody's radar. He has ran really, really good here. It's definitely worth a shot to look at him for a win again. I'm not doing that, spoiler alert, but I do like him at plus money for a top 10. We've seen a lot of guys who are not long shots win this race as well, as much as a crapshoot as we think it is. So I like him at a top 10. That's where I'm really confident. He is tied with Chastain at 5th overall in average finishes here since 22. And this year at Drafting Tracks, he's got an average of 10.0, which means he is tied with Chastain again. So I don't think that we have to worry about Suarez. I think that 7 car has been fast. The Spire cars have been fast. He hasn't been as good here the last couple weeks, but this is completely different than what we've been running at. So I really like Daniel Suarez to continue his success here at Atlanta this week. Next guy that I had him a lot longer at the beginning, but then by the time I wrote it and then took the bet, it had sunk quite a bit. But that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at plus 270. Stenhouse is one of the first guys that you think of when we come to these types of tracks as a long shot, as somebody who, you might never take him for a win or for a top 10 anywhere else except for these types of tracks. And at plus 270, I really like this number because he is a really, really successful drafting track racer. But this track specifically, he has finished 4 of his last 6 races. He's finished top 10. 5 of the 6 were top 10 or top 15. I'm sorry. He is finished 2nd, 36th, and 6th in the previous 3 drafting track races that we've had this year. So I think the 47 is going to be fast again. He's going to be a contender. He knows how to do these races, and as long as he can stay out of trouble, which is a big if for these types of tracks, I think the 47 car has got a real good chance to be top 10 this week, if not more. But moving on, we're going to talk about AJ Allmendinger at plus 280. Have that on DraftKings. One of the best stories this season so far has been that 16 car. They don't have any manufacturer help because Kaulig is obviously doing the Ram program in trucks. So because of that, Chevy said, no, we're not going to help you. Sorry. Go on. But even without any help, he has continued to run pretty well, pretty solid. Not lighting the world on fire, but for a team that we thought was just going to be out the pasture, has been pretty successful. Almost in the chase right now. Real close. So the Dinger has some good stats here at Atlanta. 4th best average finish here at 11.4. Never finishing worse than 16th. Knock on wood. That continues this week. This year has been a little lower than that as far as his average finish at these drafting tracks. He's got an average finish this year of 15.7, but his best finish at the 3 drafting tracks was here when he finished 12th. So I really like AJ Allmendinger. I think him finishing 12th, I think we're going to see some more chaos because we are getting closer to the end of the not the end of the season, but the end of the regular season. We've got 9 races left or something like that after this. So I think people will probably start to make some bigger moves because even though it's not win and get in, a win just means that much, and obviously it is still a lot of points. So I think we'll see a little bit more chaos than what we did that first race here, and I think AJ Allmendinger can definitely benefit from that. But let's move on to my final pick, and that is Zane Smith at plus 300 on FanDuel. He is my quote-unquote long shot top 10. I know it's not a crazy long shot. There was a couple more that I liked, but I'll just give them here at the end. I'm not going to take them, but just a couple that I looked at. But Zane had a rough go of it last week. This is a little run-in with Carson Hocevar, breaking rule number 1, where if you're going to wreck somebody, don't wreck yourself. But he did. But I think here at Atlanta, it's a good bounce back spot. I like to hear what he said on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast about it. I haven't listened to it yet. That is on my to-do list. I'm wondering how he goes about that, or if they even asked him about that, honestly. But either way, I think this is a good spot for him to get back on track, because I feel like if I think of Zane Smith's last couple of races, it's been road courses where he's not really, don't really mention him. He had the one race where he was running like top 10, got, spun himself out. So this would be a really good spot to, kind of get back on the wagon here a little bit. He has the second best average finish here at 6.0, and it will be tough going 4 for 4, top 10 at these tracks this year. But I do think he can do it. I do think he can. I don't know. I think I worded it right. Anyways, yeah. So he's finished 6th, 7th, and 5th. So I said at this track. Sorry. He's got the best average finish or second best average finish at drafting tracks this year. So Daytona, he was 6th. Atlanta, he was 7th. And Talladega, he was 5th. I like that 38 car. Front row cars, they usually bring some good speed here. And I think the 38 car will be contending for a top 10. As I said, a couple other longer shots that I kind of looked at. 2 that stuck out to me, and that's really just going off of the 3 races that we've done this year. Now, again, this is not on my card. I will not be taking them. But Noah Gragson does have an 11.3 average finish so far at drafting tracks this year. And right below him at 14.3 average is Ty Dillon, where he's finished 14th, 16th, and 13th. So I heavily considered Noah for sure. Ty Dillon was on the low end of a possibility. But yeah, so if you want to really just take a crazy kind of longer shot, those are probably 2 guys that I would look at. But let's talk winners. Everybody loves a winner. We got to get back on track. We got to get some more checkers. That's the whole name of the show, is Chase for the Checkers. Top 10s are great. Matchups are great. All the prop bets, that's great. I'll take the money. I want winners. That's what it's all about. And I think we've got a good chance of getting that this week, even though it's Atlanta, even though it's going to be crazy. Here's the 5 guys that I think have the best chance to do it. Started off with a favorite, one that a lot of people will probably mention, and that's Ryan Blaney at plus 1,000 on FanDuel. We all know he's one of the best at these super speedway type races. One of the places that he is best at is here in Atlanta. He doesn't have a win here yet. But he's had 4 top 5s since 2022. Altogether, he has an average finish of 10.8 here, which is 3rd best. Drafting tracks haven't been kind to Blaney this year, but this is a perfect place to get back right and get his 2nd win of the season. He's in that body armor car, which is really slick. It just looks like a car that's going to win under the lights. So I really like Ryan Blaney at plus 1,000. Next guy that I have is Georgia's own Awesome Chase from the same place. Chase Elliott at plus 1,400 on FanDuel. He's performed here. I can't think of another driver who has performed as well as Chase Elliott at his home track. There might be somebody else, but I am completely blanking. Maybe Jeff Gordon at like Indy, even though he's, loosely considered an Indiana guy. I don't know. I could completely be missing somebody. And obviously, like, a bunch of drivers are from North Carolina. And if you have somebody from Charlotte, like, maybe. But for somebody who's, like, not a North Carolina guy and they go to that track, I can't think of anybody else. Elliott has a series best average finish of 9.4 here at Atlanta. This includes 2 wins. he just always seems to be up there at the front when it comes to Atlanta. He is got an average finish of 6.3 so far on drafting tracks this year. He's got a 4th place at Daytona, a 4th place at Talladega, and an 11th place here at Atlanta the first time we were here this year. So I expect the 9 car to be at the front at one point or another. He's definitely, I can almost guarantee you, he's going to be up there leading the lap at some point, and the crowd's going to go crazy, and they're going to make a lot of comments about oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it, where they do the really loud siren thing. What is that place? Oh my gosh. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Down in Dawsonville. So I think that thing's going to be ringing at the end of the night once Atlanta's done, or at least it's got a good shot too. So if you live anywhere close to that, sorry, you're not going to get any sleep. Next guy I have is Austin Cindric at plus 1,800 on DraftKings. Cindric has been one of the best here since Atlanta switched to its new style of racing. He had a good run of finishes going from 2022 to 2024, but his last 3 he has failed to crack the top 25, but that shouldn't keep you from him. He is 5th overall in driver rating here, so I know I said I wasn't going to mention that much for this episode, but I do think that needs to be said here, because I think if you just look at the stats, which are brought to you by iFantasy Race, Ryan on Twitter, that's where I get all my stats, BT Dubs, little shameless plug for him. That guy's great follow. So if you're a NASCAR nerd and love to see all that stuff, give him a follow if you don't. But I think that's where you need to look at, if you just look at like average finishes here, you're going to maybe overlook Cindric when he really is one of the best that's been here in the last couple years. So I wanted to mention that driver rating. Really what it comes down to is, can he stay out of trouble, which is what it comes down to for a lot of guys, every guy here, because this is going to be a crazy race. But if he can make it to the end, I think he's going to be a real threat to take home the checkered flag. Talking about threats, though, I've got Carson Hocevar plus 1,800 on FanDuel. Carson's been lights out this year. He's got his first win, obviously, at a track like this at Talladega. But it wasn't really a fluke win, because he has the 4th best overall average finish at tracks like that this year at 7.7. He finished 4th here earlier this season. And he's got the 2nd best average finish at Atlanta since 2024. So he didn't race before then, so he's got a smaller sample size. But his average finish is 10.2. That is, in the last 3 races, he's finished 2nd, 10th, and 4th. So he kind of falls into that category of be around there enough, don't make a butt of yourself and put people in bad spots or wreck yourself. You're going to have a good chance. And I think he's going to have a good chance here this week. So I like the Hurricane to get a win this week. And then my last pick, my long shot, talked about him earlier. I do have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at plus 5,500 on FanDuel. Last I checked, that number is still out there. So I would hurry and get that one if you like that one. But like I said, this is my long shot for the week. I am double dipping. Ricky's stats here are just too good to ignore. Like I just said for Carson Hocevar, he kind of falls under that. Be around the top 5 enough. Eventually it's going to break your way, even at a track like this. Ricky has finished 6th or better in 3 of his last 5 races here. And this is a great price for a guy who, again, is an ace at these types of tracks. He's one of the first guys that you think of when you think of who's good here, at like a Talladega, Daytona, and Atlanta. So at plus 5,500, that's the long shot that I would be going for, just because I don't think it's the best number you can get for a driver who it is skill and the mayhem mixed in. You can get a long shot for like a, I don't know, off the top of my head, like a Todd Gilliland. And he runs well here. And I don't mean disrespect to the Todd father at all, but I see that being more of a win from chaos than skill to get up there, maybe. I don't know, because it is also just kind of a mess, these types of races right now. There's not a whole lot of skill that goes into it. Anyways, though, before I talk myself out of it, Ricky is the guy that I would go for a long shot, because he does have such a, I mean, every win that he's had has come from a track like this. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at plus 5,500 is my long shot winner pick. I'm going to be rooting for that 47 car this week. That is all the picks that I have. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for subscribing if you do. If you don't, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Tell a friend. Comment below. I would love to hear what you know about these picks. Nobody ever does. I really would like some comments and a little bit of back and forth. Maybe who you like for this race. If you don't like any of mine, anything really, NASCAR would be appreciated. So yeah, comment below. You can find me on my Twitter here that's in the corner, and you can find a link to some of my other stuff. So like on TikTok, I will post short videos where I'll do like a shorter version of this. I do race ratings. I do a flag stand segment where it's just 3 quick takes about the past race. So it'll be something good, something that I would be worried about, and something that I think needs to stop, hence the green, yellow, red flags. For the flag stand segment. So you can find that on that channel. But yeah, Atlanta, guys, it's going to be fun. I don't want to hear any whining about a night race unless it does suck. There's a chance it sucks, but it won't. I'm so confident it's going to be a great race. Thanks for watching. I'm Matty NASCAR, and this has been the Chase for the Checkers show. See ya.